I just finished a hike with a friend. We did almost 5 miles, and that felt really good. And I thought it would be a good time for another parking lot convo. My husband was just joking with me that I'm basically doing parking lot perimenopause videos. Maybe I should have done that for my channel name instead of Honestly 41. But there's just something about a parking lot. It's a pause button on life where nothing else matters, and I can reflect on, how this week has been going. And if you've been following along, I'm now at 4 weeks on HRT, hormone replacement therapy for perimenopause. I thought that I was potentially in early menopause because I hadn't had a cycle for almost 4 months and my levels were all really low. But if you saw my video last week, I got a period. And so that means I'm in perimenopause. Or, menopause is actually a reflection on your previous 12 months. So you're not considered in menopause until you go 12 months without a period. And that time up until that point is when you're in perimenopause. And that can go on for 10 years, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the woman. But that period of time where your cycles start to become irregular, you see other symptoms like irritability, anger, insomnia, weight gain, a whole host of things. And anyway, so because I got my period, I know I'm in perimenopause for sure, not early menopause. And somehow I'm already at 4 weeks out. I don't know how that's happened. It's gone by really quickly. And if I reflect on how I'm feeling at this point, I think I haven't seen wild transformation. I guess what I mean is I was worried about side effects with HRT. You hear when people go on birth control, for example, that some people start to feel crazy or like mood swings and weight gain. And I know HRT is different, but you are playing with your hormone levels, and in birth control you do that as well, just in different ways. And I was worried that I would feel some side effects or feel different. And really, I feel like myself, but better. Better than I had been feeling. But I still feel like me. So I think that is awesome. That's what I want to be feeling. I feel like I have more mental clarity. I feel calmer. I haven't had any moments of outbursts or feeling out of control in my emotions. And that was something that I was starting to see more of before I went on HRT. For example, the week before I started my first patch, I have a 13-year-old son, and I had a situation with him where I felt super frustrated, and to the point where I didn't want to be around him, and I had to separate myself and go to a different room. And I know part of that is just adjusting to having a teenager and the parenting changes that need to happen. But also, I know myself, and I felt really out of control with my emotions. I didn't like how it felt. I felt anger like I had never really felt before. And I think women know what I mean, that PMS type, it's pumping through your blood. You can feel it from the inside out. It's different than just, getting mad at a situation. Anyway, that's how I was feeling before I started the patch. I haven't had any feelings like that over the last 4 weeks at all. And I'm sleeping better, and I think that's the progesterone at night. I've learned more about that too. In one of my first videos where I'm showing you my prescriptions I brought home, I mention that if you still have a cycle, you're supposed to take estrogen and progesterone together. What I've learned since then is it's not so much about the cycle, it's about having a uterus. So if you still have a uterus, the reason why you take progesterone if you're taking estrogen is because estrogen thickens the lining of your uterus. And if you were to leave that in your body without a way to counteract it, it puts you at risk for uterine cancer, for example, and other side effects. But the progesterone counteracts the estrogen. And what I read is it attacks it at the uterus level, so the lining, and prevents that thickening of your lining. Anyway, I'm not a doctor, so make sure that you look into this stuff yourself and consult a medical professional. But one thing about me, I'm going to talk about my period. I've always been that way. I talk to my kids about my period, even my son. So I thought because I had mentioned that in an earlier video, I wanted to just share. I learned a little bit more about what that actually means. So yeah, I'm 4 weeks out and I'm feeling really good. So that's encouraging. I had a pelvic ultrasound last week, and that's what my last week's video was about. It was my first ever pelvic ultrasound, and I loved that my nurse practitioner through MIDI ordered it because I have had really irregular periods for a couple of years, and no one had ever ordered an ultrasound for me before. And I wanted to know what was going on in there and just make sure that my uterus, the lining looked good, that my ovaries and fallopian tubes looked good. Not because I'm going to have any more babies, but I worry about things, you know. I was feeling like concerned maybe I have cancer of some sort, and that's why my cycles have been off. But in my video last week, my main concern was that I happened to have this really heavy period start out of nowhere right before the ultrasound appointment, 2 days before. And who wants to be on their period when you know someone's going to be inserting a wand, you know, into your vagina? I hated everything about it. But my main fear was bleeding everywhere. And that didn't happen. So I was happy about that. But in the time that I've had to reflect since that day, I am nervous and anxious about the results of the ultrasound. I am very excited to have my follow-up appointment next week and find out what the ultrasound showed. I just want that peace of mind. And I do have some anxiety building up about that. So make sure to subscribe to my channel, which PS feels super cheesy for me to say. But if you want to know the results, I do plan to share, because something I've noticed going through this, you know, education period with perimenopause, it's on my mind like 24/7, and I don't have a lot of people that I can talk to about it. So these videos, it's helpful to me to sort of like get the thoughts out of my head. And then my hope is that it's helpful to others and that we can start a conversation about it. And where could you do that? You could do that in the comments of this video. And if you look back at some of my past videos, that's kind of already happening, where women are opening up about what symptoms they are experiencing. Some of it is from women who've already gone through this phase of their life, and they did it at a time where we didn't have all these resources readily available. So they have insight to share that we can learn from. And it's women who are going through it just like me, still trying to figure out what's going on with their bodies. And we can all learn from each other. But subscribe to the channel and you will be sure to catch next week's video, which will be me discussing how my follow-up appointment goes. But yeah, 4 weeks out and I'm feeling really good. And I appreciate you being here. So if you are experiencing things like me, you're not alone. I can promise you that.